All right, let's talk BYU football for the season ahead. I have got 5 bold predictions. Now, could all 5 of them fail and you throw them back in my face at the end of the year? Absolutely. But at the same time, that's the reason we do this. That's the reason I do this podcast. I do it every day. Trust me, I got a lot of receipts out there that have been thrown back in my face over the years. So let's get to them. Number 1, LJ Martin will be a 1,000-yard rusher for the BYU football program. And I guess the side note to this is I believe that Sione Moa also will be north of 500 yards on the year. So between the 2 top running backs for BYU, they should have 1,500 yards and change, in my opinion. Now, that requires both of these guys who have had injury concerns in the past to stay healthy. That is a key for BYU is keeping guys upright, especially at the running back position. The best thing BYU can do for a guy like Bear Bachmeier is have a strong, stout running game to take some of the pressure off of his shoulders. And that falls a lot in due part on the shoulders of LJ Martin and Sione Moa and everybody else on the depth chart. Jovesa Demuni. Who else we got? Who am I thinking of? We also have Enoch Nawahine. You look at the different guys on this roster, those running backs, they have got to shoulder the load and help a guy like Bear Bachmeier settle in. But I do believe that LJ Martin stays healthy. He's going to be one of the premier backs in this conference, and he will be north of 1,000 yards, and fingers crossed, it all goes according to plan. Number 2 bold prediction for the season. I believe that Bear Bachmeier will be the starter for all 12 or whatever games BYU plays this year. I think BYU is fully intent, and I say that with the caveat that if he gets injured, that changes the whole calculus. But if Bear Bachmeier is healthy, I predict he will start every game BYU plays this season. I think that they are fully intent on going all in on him and trying to get as much out of him as they can and really starting to get a glimpse at what his potential, his upside, everything about him as a quarterback can be. And they're going to give him a longer leash than I think many of you might expect, even if he struggles in some of these games. Maybe I'm crazy about that. And maybe it is that he plays 5 games, he's completely ineffective, and they moved him to McKay Hillstead. But I believe if he is healthy, that caveat needs to be added in there. If he is healthy, he will play every game and start every game for BYU this season. Number 3, Jack Kelly has put it on the record. He said it on this very podcast. I interviewed him at Big 12 Media Days, and I asked him, what personal goals do you have for yourself? He said, I want to get double-digit sacks. So that's north of 10 sacks. The last time BYU had a double-digit sack artist is Bronson Kafusi, and that's what, 10 plus years ago that Bronson had that 10 plus sack season. It has been a hot minute since BYU has had any individual player have that many sacks in a year. I believe that Jack Kelly absolutely will get it done. And the reason I believe that is we are hearing from guys like Jay Hills, BYU's defensive coordinator, that says they're going to shake up how they kind of go about their base defenses. There's going to be some odd fronts. Well, when you have an odd front, you have to use a linebacker or two to really help the numbers of the line of scrimmage. And that's where Jack Kelly, I think those extra reps at the line of scrimmage are going to give him that opportunity to go north of 10 sacks. He will be playing a hybrid defensive end linebacker role in some of those sets. And that will allow him to play closer to the line of scrimmage and, more importantly, rush the passer, which he is a very, very good pass rusher. And I believe that he absolutely will exceed 10 sacks this year. It's been a minute. Like I said, it's been more than a decade since BYU has accomplished that, but I do think that he can do that. And if he does it, I also think BYU as a team is going to have a whole lot more havoc created in opposing backfields. And I hope that he really realizes that goal because it's only going to make BYU's defense that much better. Bold prediction number 4 on the defensive side of the football as well. I predict that BYU will once again be in the top 10 in the country in interceptions. Now, they led the country a season ago. Remember, they were the number 1 team in takeaways, especially interceptions. It was a 22 across the season last year. They had an interception in literally every game they played a season ago, including the bowl game against Colorado. Do I predict that they're going to be the number 1 team in the country once again? No, but I do believe BYU will be top 10 in takeaways, particularly interceptions this season. The way that Jay Hill's defense operates is it baits you into making some poor throws, and then they're going to feast on that. Do they have the same top-end cornerbacks that they had a season ago? TBD. I think Maury Bomba and Evan Johnson are very capable. I think Trey Alexander, Jonathan Cabella, when he's available, they're all capable players. But the bigger point to be had is I think BYU still has good enough talent to be in the top 10 in the country. And going kind of right in line with the Jack Kelly 10 sack thing, if BYU has double-digit interceptions as a team, because that would put them in the top 10 in the country if they're 15 plus, that would be a defense that, once again, is absolutely ferocious. But I really do think this defense is elite. while the offense may have taken a bit of a step back with a freshman quarterback, I do think this defense is more than capable of holding down the fort to help that offense out. And they're very capable of that a season ago. And I think they'll be no less capable this year, especially with some upgrades they added, particularly on that defensive line that in theory should make quarterbacks more uncomfortable and more prone to throw some passes that go awry, and you take advantage of that. All right, final prediction, bold prediction for me is that I believe that Will Ferrin will emerge as an All-American kicker. Now, that may not be all that bold, but kickers are and kicking in general in college football, it's a bit of a fickle thing. There's a reason why there's a hashtag on social media of college kickers, because traditionally college kickers just screw it up. They make life hard for opposing teams. But I think that Will Ferrin, he is absolute nails. And if you saw the video, the Deep Blue that BYU TV put out this week with him, I think it gives you some insight into how he operates. He is a very cerebral guy, and he's doing everything within his power to be the best kicker he can be. And I think so long as he stays within himself, BYU gives him ample opportunities. I think he is going to be an All-American at the kicker position. Now, there have been some preseason accolades that have listed him as such, second and third team and the like. But I really do think that Will Ferrin, he is absolute nails. And so long as he sticks to his guns, to use that expression, I absolutely believe that he is capable of being an All-American and will make special teams yet again just more of a weapon than it was for BYU last season. Special teams were absolutely, pardon the pun, special for the Cougars in 2024. I think Will Ferrin will lead the way there. And I'm not saying that it doesn't extend to guys like Sam Vanderhaar or in the return game, guys like Cody Hagan, Parker Kingston, etc. But I do think that Will Ferrin, he's going to become a household name more than he already is. And I think he will end up as an All-American this season. And I could be wrong, but at the same time, I am very, very comfortable in saying that because that kick against Utah in particular, the smile, I think that said everything we need to know about this guy. He is a cool cucumber under pressure, and he goes out there and he does his job. He does his job to the best of his ability. And so long as, like I said, BYU puts him in a position to succeed, I think the Cougars are going to do just fine. And I said it before. I said it last week. I said I'm going to predict the season. I said a 9-3 record with a freshman quarterback. It's going to set BYU up for some pretty strong projections in 2026 and beyond, and I still stick to that. I think 9-3 is where I'm sitting, and if they exceed it, great. If they go below it, so be it. But I think that those are where I'm going to stand on BYU, and if I'm dead wrong about them, we'll revisit it in December, and we'll have some laughs at my expense. But as always, appreciate your guys' patronage and holding me to account, because trust me, there's a number of you who do it, and I don't mind it. I'm not saying it's a negative thing, because I should be held accountable for what I say. If I'm going to come out in here and put hot takes, if you want to call it that, out there on the internet, guess what? I better be able to be capable of eating the crow if and when I'm wrong about them. But I sincerely hope I'm right about all 5 of those projections.